Good morning. We are in session 36 of the course now. In the study of word trees, at some locations you must have noticed that some words belong to two different parts of speech. Okay, so that is not a very uncommon thing. Okay, so there are many words which can be used as several different parts of speech. Let us see a sample list, a small sample list. Okay. So these words come as adjective as well as adverbs. Okay. So for example, monthly. What is your monthly salary? Adjective. Okay. So he pays his bill monthly. Adverb. Okay. Like that. There are many others, many other words like that. Say enough. Okay. So we have eaten enough. Adverb. On the other hand, enough food has been cooked. Adjective. Okay. So adjectives and adverbs are quite often common. Okay. Then there are many which are adjective as well as noun. So brief. Brief is short, adjective. On the other hand, some little notes when compiled together makes a thing which is the brief. Okay. Dark. I cannot see in the dark. Okay. Noun. On the other hand, dark as adjective is more common. Adjectives and verbs. There are many of them. Okay. Warm. So something which is already warm can be said that it is warm. So get me some warm milk. So it is adjective. On the other hand, to begin with, if the milk is cold, then you can always warm it. Okay. Double, doubled, halved. Okay. So the adjective double can be used as verb. Okay. Clean. Clean is normally adjective, but you do clean things, right? So adverb. So verb. Okay. Nouns and verbs. So same word used as noun and verb. There are plenty. If you see those lists of verbs which we studied earlier in quarters 1 to 3, then you will find that lots of them can be used as noun also. I respect him. Verb. I have a lot of respect for him. Noun. Okay. Control. Can you control this machine? Verb. Okay. We have lost control over the machine. Okay. Noun. There are many which are adjective, adverb and verb. Okay. Adjective, adverb common anyway are there many, and many of them are at the same time verb also, and that is why I did not put them here. Okay. So better, long, okay, last. So will it last long? So here long is adverb, last is verb. Okay. Then even, close. You can close a door. Okay. You can close the entry. So that is verb. Okay. Adjective, noun and verb. Wrong. I have done a wrong. I am suffering due to the wrongs committed by me. Okay. Noun. He has wronged a lot of people. Okay. This is a wrong solution. Okay. Adjective, noun and verb. Fancy. Okay. So fancy dress, adjective. Okay. And then I fancy something. Okay. So verb, and this is my fancy, or this is his fancy. So that is noun. And of course, some of them are prepositions at the same time. Okay. So in our list of above, we have not talked of prepositions at all. We have kept the list here limited to only noun, adjective, verb and adverb. Okay. And some of them are prepositions also. and many other cases we have not listed here, because there are some general trends which are summarized here. Of course, third and fifth forms of verbs are adjectives and adverbs anyway, and quite often adjectives are used in adverb sense, sometimes very regularly, sometimes in crafty compositions. Okay. Sometimes you use nouns as qualifiers before other nouns. A pillar made of wood, what is that? Wooden pillar, wooden pillar.
School dress.
But a pillar made of iron, that is iron pillar. So here the noun iron is being used as adjective. School dress, yes. Okay. So school uniform, uniform to begin with was adjective, okay, and that has come as noun, okay, and then before that a real noun school has been put as adjective. So such jugglery with parts of speech you can do, but of course do that only if you know it, okay. And sometimes you omit the obvious noun after an adjective, so then the adjective itself operates like noun. The meek shall inherit the earth, meek people, okay. Help the poor, that means help the poor people, okay. So there are lots of examples that you can find, and it is important that when you read something you need to interpret the words in the appropriate manner to get the meaning of the entire text. Okay. In the discussion of parsing, we were doing things step by step. First we saw a lot of sentences with examples of parsing of all kinds, okay. Then we concentrated on simple sentences. In between, one little discussion we had on classification, okay. And I also showed you that you can conduct the parsing without difficult time consuming graphics, okay. So this is perhaps one relatively straightforward way for you to conduct the task that you need to do for the assignments, okay. So after simple we go to a little collection of compound sentences for parsing. Okay. So this is a very simple kind of compound sentence, okay, where the four clauses are obviously separate. I will take the house, furnish it, pay the maids, and run the whole place, okay. So this has four clauses. I will take the house, I will furnish it, I will pay the maids, and I will run the whole place, okay. So all of them are connected together in a similar manner, in a symmetric manner, okay. This is very easy, okay. So we should not call it simple, we should call it easy, okay, because if we call it simple, then we are confusing it with simple sentence. Fine. So this is a particular kind of compound sentence where the subject is common, okay, and the rest of the sentence is different. That is, the verbs are different basically, okay, and whatever the verbs take with it, take with themselves, okay. So we'll take the house, furnish it, same thing, pay the maids, not pay the house, okay, run the whole place, okay. Run to begin with is a verb which normally does not take an object, but here run has a special meaning, so it, in that meaning it takes the object. Fine. I continue, go a little more complicated cases. For myself, this phrase for myself can be considered as an adverb, which most of the phrases are, but this is something like an item which is in fact staying partly out of the sentence, okay. This essentially means so far as I am concerned, okay, or regarding myself, okay, in that sense. So for myself. So what is the skeleton sentence here? My term had trained me. Okay, this is the skeletal sentence. My term had trained me. Okay, this is the skeletal part of the first clause of the sentence. Then there is another. There is another clause. Okay, the full sentence is for myself. My term of service in India had trained me to stand heat better than cold, and a thermometer of 90 was no hardship. Okay, so this has two clauses, both equally prominent. This is not serving as an item in this. Similarly, this is not serving as an item in this. So in that sense, both are equally prominent. Okay? So that is why we are classifying it as a compound sentence. So in the first clause, the skeletal part is my term had trained me. Okay? The subject, my term, is extended by some details. Which term? Of service. Which service? In India. Okay? Fine. So this much is actually the subject, my term of service in India, in which term is a subject word being qualified by these two things, and this thing itself in turn is being qualified by in India. Okay? This is the verb, okay, had trained, object me, for what purpose? So this adverb comes, the phrase to stand. Stand what? Now this adverbial phrase to stand is in the form of infinitive, okay, which is to plus a verb. So originating out of a verb, so that verb can take an object, okay, and that is coming here, heat better than cold. Okay. This much, and this is easy. This clause is easy. A thermometer of 90 was no hardship. Okay. So thermometer, by thermometer actually the author means temperature. Okay. This one. A depleted bank account had caused me to postpone my holiday, and as to my companion, neither the country nor the sea presented the slightest attraction to him. Okay. So two distinct clauses, one is till this point and the rest is after and. Okay. So this part and this part. Okay. So in this part, in this clause, the principal subject word is account, bank account. Okay. What kind of bank account? A depleted bank account. Okay. Had caused me. This much is the skeletal sentence. Okay. And now me. This is one object. Another object is this. Okay. Cause can take two objects. Okay. This caused them a lot of harm. Okay. To postpone, caused me to postpone. Okay. Postpone what? Object here, my holiday. Okay. And what? This is again a phrase of that kind, which is standing a little out of the sentence or out of the clause in this case, as to my companion. Okay. Subject, neither the country nor the sea. Verb, presented, attraction. Okay. Object, to him, object. Okay. So two objects present. Okay. So attraction, what kind of attraction or what amount of attraction, what extent of attraction? The slightest. Okay. So this is qualifying this. Okay. Let us take one more example. But now your thoughts went back to Beecher, and you looked hard across as if you were studying the character in his features. So this is also compound sentence, in which you have got two distinct clauses, each of equal prominence. Okay. and in the second one there are inside two of them, okay, connected by as if. But now this but is actually a connector connecting this entire sentence with the previous sentence. Okay. So, connectors not necessarily join the sentences, but they also establish connections of meaning across sentences. This but is doing that. Your thoughts went back. This is the skeletal part of the sentence. Okay. Now is qualifying went back, and went back where? To beacher. Okay. Fine. Then and. The second clause is longer, in which there are two parts, this clause as if this clause. Okay. You looked hard across. Look across, this is the verb, okay, and how hard, okay, as if you were studying the character. Studying where? In his feature. Okay.
Sir, in this case, would it be compound or mixed?
You mean that this clause you are trying to interpret
A subordinate clause
as subordinate to this,
yes.
By trying to put it in the sense of manner. Yeah, we tried that, but that did not seem very logically sound.
So compound looks straightforward in this
compound. Yeah, in the compound sense, it is more straightforward. We spent some effort in trying to interpret it like that, but we did not find ourselves happy. Okay. There are some cases where that kind of confusions do arise. Okay. So, in coming sessions, we will come across some such cases. This is quite a little involved. Okay. The bed, the carpet, the chairs, the mantelpiece, the dead body and the rope were each in turn examined, until at last he professed himself satisfied, and with my aid and that of the inspector cut down the wretched object and laid it reverently under a sheet. If offhand we ask you how many clauses are there, it will be difficult for you to tell. You will need to count carefully. Okay. So, till this point is one clause. Okay. That is obvious. In fact, somebody can say that this can be interpreted as several clauses. Okay. The bed was examined, the carpet was examined, the chairs were examined, and so on. But then author has done a good job by saying each in turn here, so killing all that prospect. Okay. So, the bed, the carpet, the chairs, the mantelpiece, the dead body and the rope, this whole thing is the subject. Okay. Were examined is the verb. Make note that one part of the verb is here, another part is there, Far East, Japan. Okay. In turn examined, each in turn examined. Okay. Until
each in turn, both of, I mean, they are acting adverbs, right? Both of them. Each
certainly,
in turn, yeah, in turn also.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Until, that is a connector, connecting it with the second clause, which incidentally has its own clauses inside, and they are connected in the compound sense through ands. Okay. At last he professed himself satisfied. So, he professed himself. This is the skeletal part of the sentence. At last is qualifying professed, satisfied is qualifying himself. Okay. And did two more things. Okay. With my aid and that of the inspector cut down the wretched object. He cut down the wretched object. He cut down the object actually. Okay. The wretched is actually qualifying object. He cut down the wretched object. This is the main part of the sentence, and in the adverb sense, this phrase is qualifying with my aid and that of the inspector, okay, with our aid. So, that is qualifying in the adverb role, okay, and did one more thing. He laid it reverently under a sheet. He laid it. This is the skeletal part of the sentence. How? Reverently. Where? Under a sheet. Here again, we spent a little effort in figuring out interpreting in what way will make more sense for this, whether we break this straight in 3 parts the way we have done, or we break it into 2 parts, this one and this bigger one, inside which we can still again make 2 parts. That was another possibility. But then that would roughly mean, if we had done that, that would mean that the aid of the author and that of the inspector was needed in cutting down as well as laying. But our interpretation, that was possible, because it is possible that for laying also you need the aid of some people. Okay. But the way it was appearing, our understanding was that in cutting down, the hero needed the help of the author and the inspector, but for laying apparently he did not need. At least that looked like the intention of the author. So, with that logic, with that understanding, we made this classification. And make note, there is a difference of meaning, okay. There is a difference of interpretation involved here. So, how you break mentally while reading that story, you would certainly try to get its meaning by such breaking down things mentally. You will not write, you will not make an MS Word file out of it, but then this is what you must be doing while interpreting the content of the story. Okay. So, how you appreciate it, how you interpret it, partly depends on how you break the constituent units in your mind. Okay. So, one more compound sentence. His face was as impassive as ever, but his lids had drooped more heavily over his eyes, and his smoke had curled up more thickly from his pipe to emphasize each curious episode in the doctor's tale. Okay. Involved. Okay. So, to begin with, it has 2 clauses. Okay. His face was as impassive as ever, but a lot of other things, which is typically not expected. Okay. So, if the face is impassive, then these things are not expected. That is why they are set in opposition by the conjunction but. Okay. For example, suppose I remove this but and put an and. Okay. Then when you read it, it will look extremely funny. For example, the teacher was pleased, so he scolded the children. It does not make sense, right? So, or if you say that the teacher was pleased and she scolded the children. What? So, but on the other hand, if the text is the teacher was pleased, but or still or yet she scolded the children, then you will get a meaning that maybe there is something else for scolding. Okay. So, maybe the teacher was pleased with the children because the children admitted their mistakes. Okay. So, with that the teacher was pleased that okay, these children are good children. Okay. Yet she will scold them for the mistakes. His face was as impassive as ever. Okay. That is the first clause. His face was complement, as impassive as ever. But the second clause is quite complicated. This has 2 clauses. Okay. His lids had drooped more heavily over his eyes. Okay. So, this you would not expect from an impassive person. Okay. So, his lids had drooped. This is the skeletal part of the sentence. How? More heavily. Where? Over his eyes. And the other clause is here. Okay. His smoke had curled up. That is the skeletal part of the sentence. How? More thickly. And from where? from his pipe. Why? What is the purpose of the smoke curling up more thickly? The purpose is this, to emphasize something, episode, each curious episode, okay? Successive qualifiers. In what? Episode in what? In which episode? That is restricting the sense of the episode. Episode in the doctor's tale. Okay? So, this is the complete breakdown of this sentence. Okay. So, here you see that such a huge thing is actually a phrase. Okay? And we have seen earlier examples in which huge phrases are there, and inside that phrase when a full clause is sitting somewhere, okay, such things happen. And incidentally, a phrase and a clause are quite often interchangeable. Okay. And for example, for tea, are you using the milk kept for the baby? Here, you do not have any extra clause, it is a single clause. Okay. But if you say, for tea, are you using the milk that I kept for the baby? Okay. Then that is a complex sentence. Earlier was simple sentence. Okay. So, sometimes you may kill clauses by phrases, sometimes by individual words, okay, and shrink the type of the sentence. Complex or compound sentences can be made simple. Sometimes simple sentences can be opened up more. In fact, in technical informal grammar, there are standard exercises in which you are given a complex sentence and you are asked to make convert it into a simple sentence or the other way around. Okay. So, all kinds of such conversions and transformations are possible. Okay. So, clauses or phrases are quite often interchangeable. Okay. Any questions? Okay. So, today we have a little plan to show you some parsing exercise as done by some of the members in the audience. So, these sentences which we earlier took as examples for classification, okay. Yes, you come here. On landing at Bombay. Write that and go to the next line. Yes, go to the next line. Okay, now give me. So, this is one good way of showing the parsing. You can say on landing at, you can write in analysis, on landing at Bombay, I learned something, okay, and then put that something here. Okay. So, this is the main part of the sentence. I learned something on landing at Bombay. Okay. And what is that something? That something is that these things. Okay. And these things, this is the subordinate clause. Which incidentally has a compound structure. Okay. So, two clauses, my corpse up to passes, my corpse had advanced through the passes, and my corpse was deep in the enemy's country. Okay. So, this is one good way of showing it. Okay. So, in today's assignment, pick up the set of 25 compound sentences that you collected in the earlier assignment here from a fresh story, okay? And out of those 25 compound sentences, analyze 10 of them. Okay? That is the assignment of today. Okay. So, we stop here and continue tomorrow with the next session.